Hello, mic check, mic check. Can everybody hear me?
Test, test, test. Yeah, it seems to work.
I think so, yeah. Let's hear what people say. Well, while they say, I'm going to make an introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew.
Hello.
And welcome to Game Dev's Chatterbox, a small series where I chat with some really amazing and talented game devs out here. To find out more about what it takes on becoming a better game developer, as well as find out their personal stories and struggles. We have a very special guest. What? Sorry?
Thanks a lot for having me. I thought you were finished. I'm sorry, I didn't
No,
mean
it's
to
all right.
interrupt you.
It's okay. We have a very special guest today and someone who I look up to, Jonas Tyroller. For those who don't know who Jonas is, he's an indie game developer who worked on Islanders, a minimal, refreshing city builder game, and he's now working on his own personal project, Will You Snail, a hardcore platformer where the AI tries to predict your moves and kills you. He has been recording his progress and giving valuable lessons on YouTube for the past 2 years, and soon reaching 70,000 subscribers on YouTube. Oh, and also on the side note for the new people here, Jonas's army. I saw it on the chat. The structure of this stream is going to be followed by several questions that I have for Jonas, and at the end of the stream we'll have about 15 minutes of Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please hold it at the end. And yeah, Jonas, I have to admit that you're probably one of the first. I think we spoke this before the stream started, but yeah, you're one of the first game devs that I started watching, and that also inspired me into pursuing my dream as well. So how's it going? Are you ready?
Yeah, that was a pretty expert level introduction. I feel like that is a very interesting phenomenon because I feel like almost every game dev YouTuber got into game development on YouTube due to another game dev YouTuber. It was exactly the same for me. So yeah, it just seems to be that snowball effect. Oh, Noah. Hey, Noah's even in the chat.
Who is there? Oh, Noah.
Yeah. Yeah, Noah was one of the people who got me into YouTube. Look at that.
Noah as well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, okay, so tell us a bit about your personal life and how you got started in game development.
Yeah, so let's first start at the very beginning. Yeah, I used to make paper games when I was small, little fun little games with paper, because I liked to play video games and I wanted to do it myself, but I didn't know how to do it, so I had to compensate for that by just cutting out pieces on paper. And yeah, my parents observed that, so my dad introduced me to Game Maker at some point, which is a program that allows you to make your own games. And I'm very lucky because he is a programmer and he could introduce me a little bit to it. That's how I got started with game development. Then I got sidetracked for a while and wanted to become a filmmaker. A little bit later, I realized that making films, yeah, I can combine a lot of my talents there, but game development is even better because I can combine even more interesting talents there. So I studied game design at Berlin. Didn't finish my studies, unfortunately. And
you were too excited to
yeah,
you were too excited to start. Yeah.
I was too excited to start right into game development, right? That's why I had to cut it a little short. I also made Islanders at university with two of my friends. Islanders, my first commercial indie game, which was released on Steam last year and did quite well. So I'm quite lucky and in a good position now to keep making games. At the moment, I live at home with my dad and make a game called Will You Snail as a solo project. That's pretty much my story so far.
Very nicely wrapped, contained.
Was pretty lucky so far. Yeah, a lot of luck.
I think it's most of the time also you make your own luck. Like you have to expose yourself to these events. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to get this luck from the first place. That's how I would see it. But yeah, so I remember that during the early days of your career, you would produce a video a day and you would spend also your time on game development. What was it like then? And how do you balance your development and your day-to-day life now? Like, what's the comparison?
Yeah, I feel like starting with daily uploads was not that bad of an idea because it allowed me to learn relatively quickly on YouTube what it takes to make a good YouTube video. So for my rate of improvement, I think it was a good thing. In general, of course, that meant that the videos were pretty low quality. It was very stressful as well. I have no idea how I did that. I couldn't now. Couldn't do that again.
I see. Oh,
Yeah,
well,
at the moment I'm trying to shift my focus more and more to game development. At the moment I make like a new YouTube video every 3 weeks. That is about my schedule, and making one of these YouTube videos takes me about one entire week. So that means the ratio between game development and YouTube at the moment is about 2-1, 2/3 game development, 1/3 YouTube. And yeah, if possible, I'd perhaps like to shift that even a little bit further towards game development, but I'll have to figure out if I can do that without sacrificing YouTube, because I like doing YouTube as well. Yeah.
that's fair enough. Yeah. Um, if there is someone who you look up to, who would that person be?
I look up to a lot of other game developers, especially other developers on YouTube, because I can identify with them. So, for example, Thin Matrix, Thomas Brush, Tim Ruswick, Blackthorn Proj, Danny. Those are all people I look up to. Yeah.
I see. I mean, I think with that I can resonate as well. I look up to all of you guys as well, and basically just pursuing my path while kind of like helping each other, guiding each other to the right direction where each one of us want to go, I guess, in a way. So, in your game dev career, what is the most treasured memory? I mean, it can also be anything if you want to say any of your treasured memories that are not related to game dev, but if you do have one, do you have anyone in mind at the moment?
Yeah, I'll go with my most treasured game dev memory, and that one would probably be releasing Islanders. Just hitting that release button and then going crazy on social media, checking the different social media channels, and just it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And then seeing people actually comment on the game, playing the game, uploading videos, live streaming the game. Like, it was just a crazy feeling. Which I couldn't
probably
believe
like
that
a
it was working.
pinch me
It
moment.
just blew my mind that it was actually working, that people are actually buying the game.
I bought the game.
In
I
decent
loved
quantities,
it.
I have to say. That just blew my mind. So that's probably one of my most treasured memories, and of course the rest of the Islanders development definitely counts to that memory as well. Like, just very much liked working on this on that game with that awesome Grizzly Games team. That's why I hope that the reunion will come at some point. Right at the
That's so
moment,
cool.
Paul and Friedemann are doing their own thing, making their own games, but maybe at some point we'll be able to
Do a
join
reunion.
forces again.
Man, I can't wait. If it ever happens, I'm very excited for it as well. Now, onto more of a shifting to the other side. Do you know, like, what is the biggest mistake you have ever made, but that taught you also a very good lesson?
The biggest mistake, that is a very difficult question, because my brain is kind of dumb and I tend to forget everything very, very quickly. I can't really remember if there were any big mistakes, but I don't think that's due to the fact that I haven't made any mistakes. I feel like that is more due to the fact that either I forgot about them, or I didn't realize that I made a mistake and therefore don't know that I made a mistake. I definitely made a lot of small mistakes that I learned from, that range from all sort of things, like things I messed up in my game, things I approached game development, the fact that I didn't do any prototyping when I started the development of Will You Snail. That was so dumb in hindsight. I did a lot of communication mistakes with my videos. One time I uploaded a video called "Why Your Platformer Games Suck." That was not a smart move. Wouldn't do that again.
No?
Uh,
What happened? Do you care
yeah,
to
stuff like that.
to talk more about that incident?
That video is still up, by the way. It's not that bad, but I just came across a little, you know, the people who watched other of my videos before, they got it. That was ironic and a joke. But what I forgot was that for a lot of people, that might be the first video they see of me, and for those people, the video did not work at all. So yeah, a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of people ended up disliking me due to my miscommunications there, and it's just a bunch of small mistakes like these that I learned from.
I
Yeah.
see. I see. Fair enough.
Mm.
uh, and so I'm guessing this can be also related to the time when you released Islanders. Was it also one of the? So would that be? Sorry, I'll just ask the questions actually instead of
Yeah.
wrapping around it. For what in your life do you feel most grateful? And I wanted to just rearrange that, if whether that was what you were felt most grateful, or you have something else that you're most grateful.
Nah, my answer to that question would be quite boring, probably. I'm
No.
most grateful for my mental health. After that is my physical health. Then there's the fact that I have a good social network with people that actually like and love me and support me. Well, those are the three most important things. And then maybe after that, we have the fact that I'm in such a lucky position that I can actually make indie games full time at the moment. Like, how lucky can you get? It's kind of mind baffling. My English skills should.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
never mind.
I mean, I think to be honest, that is most game developers' dreams as well. It's just like to be good enough to the point where you can make games for a living, where games can support you.
Yeah, I don't even
That
know
is
if
the
I'm.
life.
I feel like after the first game, that's probably too early to tell if you're good enough, to be honest.
It takes a while.
Especially
You
due to
need a
the
lot more
fact that I
time.
made the first game with two very talented people who made a successful game before I joined their team. So, somewhat questionable how much I contributed to the success of Islanders. Probably a little bit. That's for sure. But
I don't think you should down
you know,
talk, but okay. You
we'll
made the
see.
mechanics, right? You designed the mechanics. And the
Yeah, I
playtesting.
did some. Yeah, sure. I did some coding for. I definitely. Yeah, I contributed. Sure.
Like
I
if you
tried
made
to.
the
I tried to be a
mechanics.
little humble here.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. I was
Uh,
like, it's impossible what you're
yeah,
saying
but
here.
but either way, the main point remains that after one game, that might be a little bit too early to tell if you manage to make it right. Might as well have been luck at that point.
I mean, to be able to keep on going at the
Yeah.
position, that's great. Yeah. Jonas, you're just being too humble, to be honest. Um, is there a project that you regret you haven't finished?
Yeah, most projects I haven't finished. I have to say it's probably for the better. Of course, I have hundreds of unfinished games, but I feel like as long as you learn from each project, you can still grow as a person and as a developer and become better and better over time. So I don't really regret not finishing most of them, especially now. I'm like, yeah.
Fair enough.
What would have been the point of finishing that?
I don't know. I think
obviously
for
finishing, yeah, obviously finishing is a good habit to get into. Don't get me wrong. So maybe that's why I regret not finishing a lot of the stuff, because finishing stuff gets you into the habit of finishing stuff, and that is certainly a good thing. I could have started with that a little bit sooner.
maybe it's a
Yeah.
thin line between the two, between finishing and whether knowing that it's not worth pursuing something because it's not the direction you wanted to go. Or something
Yeah,
like
yeah. You
that.
have to realize early if it's worth finishing something or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you're like half a year into a project, then there's a lot of sunk cost fallacy going into it, and even if you realize that maybe the project is sort of doomed to fail for one reason or another, it's very hard to abandon the project at that point.
Yeah, fair enough. That's totally.
Or is it hard? Depends on the kind of person you are.
Jonas made a video about that, about how
mo-
long it takes for you to finish a game, by the way.
Actually, now that I think about it, most people don't mind abandoning their projects that much. But of course you come up with some sort of excuse. I'll just take a little break and come back later, and then you never do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I believe that Will You Snail will be released on 2021, if I'm correct. And
Yeah, I hope so.
do you have a plan in mind on what you will be doing a week before and after the release? I'm asking these questions because it's for other game designers who are about to release their games. What is the usual procedure you can imagine that it would be most appropriate before and after the release?
Marketing. I feel like what makes the most sense 1 week as well as 1 week after launch is just marketing. You should prepare a ton of marketing material and then just throw it all out the week before launch so everybody knows your game is coming out. And you can still do that the week after launch as well, to get as many people in as possible. And yeah, perhaps I'll do some bug fixing and some tech support, of course, after launch as well. In the best case scenario, all of that marketing material is already prepared beforehand, and then during the launch weeks, you just fire it all out. Yeah, David from Game Dev Unlocked, I feel like has a really cool approach on that. He calls that the social media blitz.
Blitz.
Where you,
Such a good name.
prepare as much as possible for just those 2 weeks and then go all in.
Go all in.
Yeah.
All in.
Marketing.
Hopefully,
yeah. I mean, you maybe I say marketing. Maybe I'll do bug fixing or something like that before launch. But in the best case scenario, it should be marketing. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. So, apart from all the releases and the lessons you've learned from your own work and stuff, what is the best piece of advice you have ever received from someone else?
Once again, this is one of those cases where my brain just gives me nothing because dumb.
No.
And I'm sure I've received plenty of great advice from various people. Also feel like a lot of the best advice I've received in lately just comes from YouTube. Just straight up comes from YouTube videos. I feel like it's so amazing that we live in a time where you can literally have a look at other indie game developers who made it, look what they tell you, look how they make their games. That is such an amazing opportunity that allows you to learn so much about your craft and about how things should work.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
totally
grateful for.
agree.
I can tell you where the best advice comes from. Not really sure what the best advice is. One piece of advice that I really like is that you have to learn to be happy with what you have now. Otherwise, your chance of becoming happy once you have even more or reach your goals is not that high either. So
that's great.
You should just try to be grateful for what you have, and that will make everything a lot easier.
I'm gonna be out here noting down all these notes. But yeah, I think that's a very mind at ease mentality. I think it's great to have, because at the end of the day, you need to know what's most important for you now and in the future, right? So having that mentality will definitely help you pursue where you want to get. Now, the next question is more for the early game devs who are just starting out from zero. So if you had to start from zero again, what would you do? What would be the first few things you would do? Like, what would you do on becoming a great game developer?
First of all, I would have a very close look at myself. Firstly, at what I can do, and secondly, at what I actually want, what I want to achieve. And that varies from person to person, right? So if you want to become a full-time indie game developer, then there are different approaches you can take, and I saw that very very nicely with Islanders. One approach is you can just develop the entire game behind closed doors and then make a nice marketing push when the game comes out. The other approach is what I'm doing now. You can start a YouTube channel if you're into that, and just start promoting your game there while making the game together with the community. So if you like interacting with people, that might be the approach for you. But either way, I would definitely say get familiar with using the internet in some shape or form, right? Because that's how you get your game out there. If I had to start all over again, I personally would probably instantly start another YouTube channel, because the amount of audience building and the amount of engagement you can get from YouTube videos is just crazy and mind-baffling. And I really like that YouTube just pretty much, you don't have to do anything except for making entertaining videos, and YouTube will just promote your videos for people to watch.
Yep.
And I realized that me saying that will probably make the I feel like the game dev industry or the game dev niche on YouTube is really at a point at the moment where there are so many new channels coming up. It really feels like the snowball effect, where everybody's like, oh yeah, having a YouTube channel for making games is such a smart idea. Yeah, I'm gonna do that as well. And now everybody starts doing that. I guess that's fine.
I mean,
really do
more
anything
games to
with it
come,
anyway.
I guess. Yeah, that was a great answer. Thank you so much for giving us such a valuable insights and also spending your valuable time with us on this podcast. Tell us how we can connect with you, and is there any last piece of advice you'd like to give to all the game devs out there?
One piece of advice I would give to game devs out there: listen to your own advice. I feel like most developers know what the best practices of making an indie game are, but then they don't do it. They just forget everything they learned and everything they know, and they do it in a different way. I'm certainly that way. I'd assume that most other developers, I'm not sure, probably.
So basically follow
Probably
your
other
heart
developers
in a
are like
way.
that as well. Listen to your own advice. Yeah.
Yeah, and how to connect with you? I
How
think
to
I
connect
have.
with me? You can connect with me via Twitter, YouTube, Discord. Unfortunately had to close my DMs on Discord, but you can still tag me on Discord if you want. You can write me an email. And you can ask me in chat now, because I think we're due for a little Q&A now, right?
We are in a little bit Q&A. I have actually a question for you. What is your favorite game?
My favorite game that I played recently was Outer Wilds. Not to confuse with The Outer Wilds, that is a different game. Outer Wilds. It's a space exploration game with excellent writing, and it was one of the most memorable experiences I've played recently, and I think it will have quite a bit of an impact on how I do the storytelling in my game Will You Snail. Other than that, I really liked Portal, the Talos Principle.
Oh yeah.
I like playing games like StarCraft. If we take board games, then maybe something like chess, I like that as well. Go.
Oh yeah, you like, I remember on one of your really old videos, which was I think the first video I've ever seen, you play chess Go, Chinese chess. The old school Chinese chess Go,
Go, yeah.
Yeah, Go. I
It's a
played
nice
that
game.
too. I played that too. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, there are some questions now coming up. Let's see. Did you explicitly choose to take your personal name for your online presence? If yes, why? Says Kunai.
Yeah, I feel like the idea behind that was that if at some point I try to do something different, go into a different niche, for example, if at some point I decide I want to make only music now, then I feel like using my real name just allows me to transfer a lot more easily than if I build some sort of game dev brand around Yeah.
I mean, it's
Also,
an easy idea.
it feels
It's a
it
great,
feels authentic. Like it comes with some
feels
advantages.
honest.
Unfortunately, it also comes with a couple of disadvantages. So yeah, I just looked at the pros, at the cons, and then eventually decided to go with my full name. But both comes with advantages and disadvantages. So do it, do whatever you want.
Yep.
Yeah.
FJB asked, "What is the worst bug you've ever had in Will You Snail?"
Had or still have. I mean, the most annoying things are the things that are very hard to reproduce and
Oh
sort of
yeah.
crash the entire game. And the bugs that don't even happen on your own PC, but one of your playtesters just reports, "Oh, I can't play the game; it's so laggy. Nothing works." That is that is the worst kind of stuff because you have no idea how to fix it.
I've actually
Yeah.
I worked on so during my summertime job I worked at Ubisoft as a playtester, and
Oh.
with the playtesting I can't say what game, but with the
Yeah.
playtesting thing I remembered exactly as you said, like when I had to report a bug, I had to be super in detail but as concise as possible, so when the devs read it they know exactly what the problem is.
Yeah.
And I had to record the video to reproduce the bug first of all to see how much I don't know how to say it in English, how often it happens, the occurrence of the bug and all of that, like how difficult it is it on the golden path, does it follow the path of the player or you're going off, and it's all that. And based on that, because there's so many bugs in a AAA game, you had to like they have to prioritize on the main thing and then go down from there.
Yeah, I'll probably have to do that as well at some point. Like fixing all bugs is just something that doesn't happen for most games, but like fixing the worst bugs at least is something you should definitely try to do. I'm gonna try my best. Yeah.
Doorbell is out here doing copy pastas, but I don't know which one is an actual question, buddy. Any tips for puzzle game level design? I think Jonas has a video about that.
Yes, watch my video on that. Puzzle game level design. I feel like what's interesting about puzzle game level design is that every level should sort of serve as a tutorial, right? Every level should teach you something new or new interaction that you can use in the levels after that. That's why I feel like it's a very good idea to design puzzle levels one after another in the correct order. Like just start with the first puzzle, build the next puzzle, because as you build the puzzles you also learn more about the rules of your game, and then try to exhaust the rules of your games as much as possible before you add a new mechanic, so you really get a good understanding of how your own mechanics work, how they interact with each other, and that way you can hopefully build some very interesting puzzles. Also for puzzles, playtesting is extremely important. Once you have a couple of levels, let somebody playtest the game and then see if they understand the things you teach in the level, see if they get stuck somewhere.
I can
So,
feel especially
design with a lot of playtesting if you make a puzzle game, I would say.
I can certainly see though with the puzzle games you definitely need somebody else to test it for you because
Yeah.
you're the one who created the puzzle. Yeah, that's
Sure.
yeah. I mean,
yeah, and you burn through playtesters so quickly because you can use every playtester only once. It's a real problem.
City Builder asked, "How did you learn to make music?" Oh wait, there are some questions
I
above
downloaded
as
the music program and then I tried to make music, and then it didn't work at the beginning and it sounded horrible, but I kept at it, and over time it became better and better. Not a very exciting story, but
practice makes perfect.
I just made music, and that's how I learned to make music.
Any marketing tips you would give us about 1 week before or after release? Faud Sham, I can't spell your name, buddy. I'm sorry. I don't want to butcher it.
Marketing tips for 1 week before release.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, you should probably, even before that, you should have prepared a ton of marketing material and then just throw it all out during launch
Just
week.
dump
I feel
it
like
everywhere.
Reddit seems to be very high reward, but also high risk, high reward. Maybe double with Reddit a little bit. Twitter can work as well. Like the Islanders got like 10,000 wish lists from a Twitter post, so Twitter can work as well. What's really important is that your game looks appealing, because then your chance of succeeding on any social media platform are exponentially higher. And yeah, I mean, if you're 1 week before launch now, just do your best. Try to learn as much as possible and do a better job preparing next time. Yeah.
You recommended record voice. You recommended record voices for an action game? Question mark. How do you make the snail in Will You Snail squishy?
Are those two questions? What's the
Yeah, I think
first
those are
question?
two questions. Yeah, sorry. You recommended I don't know how to read this question. You recommended record voices for. I think he's asking whether you recommend
if
having.
I recommend voice lines for action games. Yeah, that might not have been the the smartest design. I'm not sure. I feel like it kind of works because you can hear what the AI says while playing, but it's
Without
definitely
reading.
the case that you can't read the subtitles while playing at the same time. So the subtitles are pretty much there for the streamers and YouTubers, so people can read along if they want to. But like for the people playing the game, the subtitles are kind of pointless. At the least, if you speak the language you're playing in.
And the next one was
what was the second question exactly?
Yeah, how do you make the snail in Will You Snail squishy?
That is with code-based animations. So the snail is split up into multiple sprites, and then let's take only the shell, for example.
Oh, examples.
Right. let's say this sheet of paper is the shell of the snail. Only the shell, right? You can see that down there. There's a shelly example. And now if the snail moves to one side, I just tilt that a little bit. And also squish it a little bit. When the snail jumps, I squish it a little bit in this direction. When the snail falls, I squish it a little bit in this direction. And if you do that for all of the parts of the snail, like if you do that for the eyes as well, then you get that effect. It's not it's not that complicated.
It's pretty good. Great. Now we're gonna have plenty of Will You Snail clones now.
No.
No, probably not. I'm joking.
I don't think so.
What have motivated the most what have motivated you the most when developing your projects? So what's your source of motivation sometimes?
Before I started YouTube, my main source of motivation was giving the game to somebody and seeing how they react to it. Getting a smile on their face, getting some sort of reaction out of them, having them enjoy whatever I made. That was the biggest motivation. Nowadays, the fact that I have people who are excited and waiting for the game is obviously a very big motivation for me as well. So that helps a lot. The fact that whenever I release a patch, there are people eagerly waiting to try it out, and people actually want to play this. That is very encouraging and also very, very motivating, not gonna lie.
I think that also answers the Jonas Simkus's question as well. I think it's about the same on how to keep up with your game without thinking about that your game is bad. So basically being positive. I think knowing the importance, like what you just said, with you get a good feeling when you make someone else happy when they play your games, right? Or when you get positive feedback.
I feel like it's definitely when you're the problem is when you're developing a game without getting it out there, without having anybody test it, then you kind of don't know if people will be interested or if it will work out in the end. So my best recommendation, if you're in that sort of situation, is to get a demo out there, see if people enjoy the game, see if you can market the game, if it looks appealing enough so that people are interested in playing the game. And then, to be honest, if people are not, then you should probably abandon the project and start a new one and do better next time. And if people are interested, or if you can see certain points where you can improve, and make it so that people are interested, then you can do that. But like if you're just going through the darkness like a blind man, then yeah, it's very easy to have those doubts. Even if you have people playtest your game, it's still very easy to have your doubts. But that should definitely be step one: getting some sort of demo out there, seeing how people react to it. I would do that.
It's a great example. I think we'll have, I don't want to take too much of your time. We'll have maybe one more question. You can pick one if you want. So that way
it's fine. I still have time. We're quite early.
All right. What's the best way to get playtesters for your game? YouTube, maybe?
There are different ways to go about it. I feel like step number one, I should try first, is offering other game developers to playtest their games, right? You can't just expect people to do you a favor all the time without doing anything in return. So that is your safest bet. Just go onto any game dev Discord. There are people posting their games all day long. Just play like 5 of their games and ask them in a friendly manner if they can check out your game in return and let you know what they think. And I'm sure 80% of them will do that and check out your game as well. So that is the easiest, straightforward way. And then the other way would just be, once you build a little bit of an audience on YouTube or on Twitter or on any other social media platform, then of course you can get playtesters with the easy button and just ask people, hey, do you want to playtest my game? And then probably people will jump out of the woodworks. Yeah. But that, of course, takes a little bit of preparation, which is why I mentioned the other method first.
Mashup Games asked, how do you choose out of your ideas which you want to develop?
So if you have multiple ideas and you're trying to decide which to develop, first of all, I would try to make a prototype of all of your ideas so you can actually test them and try them out. And then I would, depending once again on what your goals are, it's obviously important that you work on something that you want to work on. So that should be one of the main criteria for deciding which idea you want to work on. But also if you want the project to succeed, then I would straight up think which one of those games is the easiest to market, like which one has the most interesting catch, which one has the most interesting visuals, which one stands out the most, which one sounds the most interesting when you pitch it to somebody. Those are the kinds of criteria I would look at.
I see. That's great.
Also, how realistic is the scope, right? Don't overscope. If you have multiple ideas and one of them, they're exactly the same, but one of them is smaller, go with the smaller one, obviously. Yeah. Hope that helps.
Let's see, some other questions. Doorbell asked, Jonas was the vacuum cleaner video sponsored. I don't know what that is about.
No. I feel like that was probably a joke question. It was not sponsored, no.
Let's see. Should I try to draw in real life before I do pixel art? And that for marketing art in games? That's
sorry again. I was reading a different question.
No, it's okay. Should I try draw in real life before I do pixel art? And that for marketing art in game? I don't think you should change your style of art midway, but again, let's see what you have to say.
What was the second part of the question? I didn't get that because Discord swallowed some
should this person draw in real life? So drawing on paper, I'm guessing, before
I got that part.
Pixel art. Before pixel art for marketing art in games.
Why marketing art? I don't get that part of the question at all, but I feel like
can you be more clear?
You should practice what you want to become good at. So if you want to become good at pixel art, it makes the most sense to just focus on pixel art and not learn something else before that, right? Practice what you want to become good at.
Yeah.
And the second part, I didn't get that. Marketing.
Manisha asked, how did you choose how many levels you wanted for Will You Snail?
It was not really a conscious decision. It was just like, yeah, I need to get about 3 or 4 hours of playtime at least, and then I just made levels till I got somewhat to that point. Now we have around 100 levels, and now I want to add a couple of secrets and Easter eggs. Yeah, but the levels are really short most of the time. Depends on how often you have to play them, but in general they're very short.
I'll probably play triple times for sure. I'm not that great as a platformer, so yeah. Let's see. I'm just gonna find some more.
Will the Will You Snail Steam page get updated? Yeah, that will get updated before launch for sure. I'll just focus on finishing the game first, and then I'll worry about marketing, and updating the Will You Snail Steam page is part of marketing, or perhaps part of the visual overhaul that is a little overdue as well. For example, we need to update the Will You Snail logo. Not happy with that anymore. Yeah. Will You Snail ever come out? Who knows?
Praying
Let's
to the
hope so.
snail gods. Praying to the snail gods. Really important. It says a lot about the person. Some close all tabs when... Oh wait, someone asked, how many browser tabs do you have open?
2.
Oh my god,
One
same.
with Twitter and one with the live stream.
For me, it's live stream and list of questions.
I have the list of questions as well, but that is in a text file and not in a tab.
Let's see.
Yannick says every year it's delayed by 1 year. Yeah, that doesn't sound entirely unrealistic. But actually, I'm getting to a point where, there's, at some point there's nothing more you can add. We'll get there eventually, I guess.
You will get there, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just really like working on the game, so it's hard to call it quits.
Is it like
at
reading
the moment,
a very good book that you can't finish?
At the moment, I've finished all of the levels, all of the main content of the game is finished, like all of the voice lines are implemented. And now what I want to do next is I want to implement some secrets, I want to implement some more story, because people have really been asking about more story. And I feel like everything I put into the game now will just make the game exponentially better. So I'll take the time and do it, right? Especially as I still enjoy working on the game. I'm not that much in a rush to finish it. But yeah, I get it that it's also a little dangerous to just keep delaying it.
What is your favorite color?
I think it's probably green or blue. Wow.
Look
What
at
a
that.
coincidence. We have those two colors on the screen.
Someone asked, will we be able to get the ending song before release?
Let's see if the ending song even makes it into the game.
Oh no. Don't say that.
I mean, there will be a cool ending song, but I'm not sure if it'll be the one I showed in the last devlog. Yeah, I'll have to think about it some more, especially now where I put in a couple more story elements. I'll see what fits best with the end.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, let's do like 2 more questions and then call it quits.
Yeah. You can choose, I guess.
Okay. You think Godot is a great engine to a beginner game dev? Unfortunately, I don't really know, because I only tried out Godot for like 1 day, and that is not enough to really grasp the entirety of its engine. But from what I've seen so far and from what I've heard so far, Godot is quite beginner friendly, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Will you make a Will You Snail plush? That would be cool. But no plans for that at the moment. Is the ending song finished? Can we hear it? No, it's not finished. I haven't worked on it since the last devlog. Unfortunately. Yeah, I was busy fixing bugs. And making videos,
All of that together.
being stupid.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's
But
the two
I'm
questions.
quite honored that you liked the ending song. Yeah, let's call it quits here. Good idea.
Thank you again, Jonas,
Yeah.
for giving us
Yeah, thank
such.
you very much for having me.
Yeah. I hope that this Chatterbox session brought you inspiration and knowledge, which will enable you to go forward with your career. That was all for this week's Game Devs Chatterbox. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you, Jonas, again. And see you next time.
Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that's it.
Alrighty.
See you.
Bye.